For the return of the Champions League, we're offering 50% off annual subscriptions at The Athletic. See the link in the description to sign up now. On July 30th, 1966, in front of nearly 100,000 fans at Wembley and a British TV audience of over 32 million, Alf Ramsey's England beat Germany to win the World Cup for the first time, and so far, the only time. Long before the people were on the pitch, thinking it was all over, the Germans had taken the lead in the 12th minute, when Siegfried Held's cross from the left was met by a Ray Wilson clearance. His misdirected header fell to Helmut Haller, who swept the ball home. But more than 50 years on from that moment, the goal has great poignancy, with Wilson and Haller now bound by something much more significant. Both died of dementia. On the pitch after that game, Wilson celebrated with a dancing Nobby Styles and the towering Jack Charlton. But again, there is now a different and much darker connection. Charlton and Styles have also recently passed away, having suffered from dementia. Their deaths were swiftly followed by the news that Sir Bobby Charlton had become the 5th member of England's winning 11, alongside Martin Peters, to be diagnosed with a disease connected to brain injury. 3 years after England's victory, journalist and broadcaster John Arlott foresaw what was coming many years down the line, observing professionals who became physically nauseated by the constant impact of a muddy ball on their foreheads. It's surprising that we do not hear of instances of brain damage similar to punch drunkenness in those who went through this constant battering, he wrote presciently in The Guardian. A half-century has passed, but a momentum finally exists to define the link between football, heading and dementia. The compelling evidence also seems to increase with each passing month, much of which can be largely credited to a campaign spearheaded by the family of Jeff Astle through the foundation named after him. The former West Bromwich Albion and England forward passed away in 2002 at the age of 59. In an historic ruling, the inquest announced that his death was as the result of an industrial disease caused by heading footballs. In fact, English football seems beset with such cases. There are claims that 7 members of the Burnley team who won the First Division title in 1960 suffered with dementia before they died. From the previous decade, 6 players from Aston Villa's 1957 FA Cup winning side are reported to have died in similar circumstances, potential sufferers of chronic traumatic encephalopathy. The condition, once considered solely the fate of veteran boxers, was formerly known as dementia pugilistica. However, recent research suggests that footballers may be equally at risk from repeated exposure to the thud of a ball. Former England captain Alan Shearer scored 46 of his record-breaking 260 Premier League goals with his head, and estimates practicing this trademark technique up to 100 times a day in training. In 2017, he presented a BBC documentary, Dementia, Football and Me, and investigations that took place within unearthed findings with real merit to propel this story forward, illuminating with brighter, higher-profile clarity how the issue has impacted many former professionals. Importantly, a series of tests also showed that the bygone leather footballs used by the likes of Astle often weighed up to 600 grams when wet, a third more than the modern equivalent. Other contributors included Gordon Taylor, chairman of the PFA for almost 40 years, who's recently announced he's to step aside from the role shortly and has been widely criticised for the union's lack of action on this issue. Under questioning from Shearer, he was asked if the organisation knew how many of its 50,000 members had dementia. Puffing out his cheeks, Taylor responded, "No, we don't." Perhaps Taylor, whose £2.3 million salary dwarfs the PFA's reported $100,000 total outlay on research into this condition, might have consulted Dawn Astle for this data. After her father's death, she established the Jeff Astle Foundation, launching a quest for justice which began as he lay dying. The story of her work was eloquently and emotively retold in Michael Calvin's 2018 book, State of Play. Within it, Calvin described an A4 notebook containing the names of 400 footballers afflicted by dementia. This is information seemingly beyond an organisation with £50 million in the bank, headed by a man earning more than Didier Deschamps and Joachim Löw, managers of the last 2 teams to win the World Cup. Astle's scathing view of the PFA's response was balanced against astonishment at the volume of cases, prompting her to question, how big is this? Is this why they don't want to do anything because of what they might unravel? In October 2019, a study commissioned by the PFA and Football Association found that former pros were between 2 and 5 times more likely to die from degenerative brain diseases. The research was led by consultant neuropathologist Dr. Willie Stewart at Glasgow University and compared the deaths of 7,676 ex-players to 23,000 from the general population within the same age bracket. Speaking about the findings of the field report, which stands for Football's Influence on Lifelong Health and Dementia Risk, Dr. Stewart said, "This is the largest study to date looking in this detail at the incidence of neurodegenerative disease in any sport, not just professional footballers. Our data show that while former footballers had higher dementia rates, they had lower rates of death due to other major diseases. As such," Dr. Stewart continued, "while every effort must be made to identify the factors contributing to the increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases to allow this risk to be reduced, there are also wider potential health benefits of playing football to be considered." So while the footballing community mourned the loss of Styles and Charlton, there has been measured celebration at the formation of the PFA's new Neurodegenerative Disease Working Group. In announcing news of the task force, the union commented, "By establishing this advisory group, we hope to give the people most affected a strong voice in how the PFA supports former players and seeks to protect current players." As research continues, the FA has now banned children under 12 from heading the ball outside of matches, mirroring the decision taken by US Soccer 5 years ago. For the return of the Champions League, we're offering 50% off annual subscriptions to The Athletic. We have a week full of brilliant pieces, including a Champions League knockout guide by tactics expert Michael Cox and analytics chief Tom Warville. So for just £2.50 per month, a deal available until the end of the week, you can follow the best journalists writing in-depth pieces about your favourite teams in the Premier League and across several other sports. It really is the best place to read about football online. So come and join us today at The Athletic by visiting theathletic.com/Tifo Football. Thanks for watching today's video.